Welcome to another time to do business. It's 25 minutes we have this time around to update you on what's been going on in the economy, especially in Africa. This is Business Incorporated, and here's what we prepared for you. In Africa, investors are pouring in more money into the government bonds. Looks attractive. The United States is accusing Kenya of helping China evade President Trump's tariffs through trade practices. And there's a digital visa platform from South Africa for 4 countries. Welcome to the program. I'm Ini John McCall. We start as usual. What's going on in the global oil space? Continuing from what happened earlier, prices of going up. That's of oil. U.S. said their blockade of Iranian ports could continue indefinitely. That is on top of the mind of investors. So we see further increases. What we have this afternoon, Brent increased 0.15%, added to what it had in the morning. Price is getting close to $90. It's at $7.20. WTI has also increased about 0.5%, $81.69 a barrel. And then natural gas is also up just about 0.5%, $2.74. Both benchmarks a dip 2% in Thursday's session, but remain on track for weekly rises of around 4% following sustained rally. And for metals, we saw gold pull back today as rally lost steam, and traders booked profit after bullion climbed to a more than 2-month peak on fading bets of U.S. Federal Reserve interest rate hikes. Spot gold, we see that is 0.29%. The price is $4,407.70 per ounce, extending losses after declining 1.3% in the last session, erasing most of this week's gains. U.S. gold futures for December delivery, that fell 0.4%. The price at $4,400.40 per ounce. Other metals, spot silver dropped 0.20% to $64.85. Platinum also dropped slightly 0.01%, $1,732 per ounce. Palladium lost 1.16% to $1,310.50 per ounce. Both metals were headed for a weekly drop. African domestic debt markets are drawing increased investor interest as high yields attract investors seeking stronger returns amid changing global financial conditions. The growing appetite for local currency government securities is threatening domestic debt markets across the continent. Other currency volatility and fiscal risks remain key concerns, but this has been marked as a positive progress for the continent. Starlink, the satellite internet service owned by American billionaire Elon Musk, they've introduced a new budget-friendly internet plan for Kenya homes. It's priced at about 4,000 Kenyan shilling for a month, significantly undercutting its existing residential offering. The satellite-based service is expected to improve connectivity, particularly in underserved areas, as Kenya continues to expand digital access. And still on Kenya, the White House has named that country among more than 40 countries that it accuses of enabling China to sidestep American import tariffs by routing goods through third nations. And the report alleges that China has been exploiting preferential trade arrangements by relabeling, repackaging, or likely processing goods in other countries before shipping them to the United States as locally originating products. The allegations could put additional pressure on Kenya's trade relationship with the United States as Washington intensifies scrutiny of supply chains and efforts to avoid tariff restrictions. And still with the U.S., the Senate has approved an extension of the Africa Growth and Opportunities Act, AGOA, a development Kenya's Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry is described as highly significant for the country's export economy. In a press statement signed by the Cabinet Secretary Lee Kinyanjui, This will maintain duty-free access for eligible sub-Saharan African goods entering the U.S. market until December 31, 2028. The outcome could affect Kenya's exports to the U.S. and businesses that depend on access to the American market. South Africa has introduced an electronic travel authorization system, the ATA, for 4 countries, marking a significant shift in how the country processes visa applications and manages border entry. And the President, Cyril Ramaphosa, officially unveiled the system at Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg, framing the launch as a step towards modernizing South Africa's immigration infrastructure. The initiative is expected to make visa application processes faster and more convenient while supporting tourism and international business. And the Central Bank of Egypt has launched a nationwide awareness campaign with banks operating in the country to warn customers about fraud risks and protect their personal and banking information. The campaign urges customers not to share personal or banking details with anyone and to remain alert to attempt to steal their information or money. The CBE warns customers against responding to fraudulent phone calls seeking sensitive information and is asking them not to click on suspicious links. Let's look at Africa financing for the health sector now, expanding that budget. And we have the 2025 World Health Organization and UNICEF estimates put West and Central Africa at the center of global immunization picture. UNICEF reports that in 2025, coverage in the region stayed below 90% target for all 15 childhood vaccines. Not one was reached. Understanding why requires looking beyond the health clinics to the Federal Ministry of Finance. Let's find out why we should direct our attention to the Federal Ministry of Finance. At this time, we have Tabani Mpoza. He's the Chief Country Delivery Officer for Gavi. Mr. Maposa, welcome to the program. We're talking about immunization and we're looking at the Ministry of Finance. Why?
Thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to be with you here today. I think that the Ministry of Finance is such an important ministry when it comes to immunization. Because for us, we see immunization as an investment to the country's productivity, and the Ministry of Finance is involved in the budget allocation and planning and in the release of funds. And so it's a very important counterpart for the Ministry of Health in making sure that the resources that come from Gavi and those that come from the government are synchronized to deliver vaccines in a timely manner to children.
And we know that Gavi officials had a meeting recently with the federal government, the president here in Nigeria, and then we see this report saying that population growth is swallowing record operational outputs while domestic budget decisions threaten future gains. What do you mean by this, and what is the way out of this? There's population growth, there's the budget decisions.
Thank you. I think what it really means is that the budgets must be adjusted in tandem with the population growth. If we keep our budgets at the same level as they were 10 years ago, unfortunately, many children would be missed. Gavi's efforts are always to bring affordable vaccine to countries, but if the denominator, which is the population of children that is born, is increasing, then the planning must take that into account. At the moment, we feel that there is an opportunity to strengthen the planning side so that it keeps pace with the growing population.
So when you say looking at the planning side, are you happy with the allocation currently for a country in a country like Nigeria, I mean, to the health sector generally, then we can now talk about, vaccines and immigration. Are you happy with the level that the country is at?
I think that first we must start by acknowledging that Nigeria, at least in our history of partnership with Gavi, has put 516 million US dollars of its money. So I think we must start by acknowledging that every year when children are vaccinated in Nigeria, the government is doing its best to contribute. Can more be done? Absolutely. I think that the African governments themselves agreed to a 15% target, which is called the Abuja Agreement, coincidentally. That was made about 15 years ago, and that is meant really to be an aspiration that countries work to move towards. Nigeria is at about, the last time I checked, somewhere between 6 and 7% of that, and so there's still a headroom to grow.
And now we have Gavi 6.0, and that's supposed to, help maybe deal with that gap.
Gavi 6.0 is obviously coming in an environment that is very different in terms of landscape, where we have seen ODA decreasing significantly. Gavi itself continues to be in fundraising mode because it has a shortfall of 2 billion. But even with that shortfall of 2 billion, we still have prioritized Nigeria. We are allocating, Nigeria is the second largest country in Africa in terms of our allocations. It has the highest number of zero-dose children, and so we always try to make sure that our money follows where the need is. And Nigeria has the need, and we are partnering with the government to respond to that need.
All right, thank you so much for that, Mr. Tabani Maposa, Chief Country Delivery Officer at Gavi.
Thank you so much.
Let's head to the markets. We start with the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC. They've directed capital market operators to immediately freeze the funds, assets, and other economic assets or resources belonging to 6 individuals and 3 entities designated as terrorism financiers by the Nigeria Sanctions Committee. The affected individuals, which has some individuals which are known in the market space, have been made, the designations have been made under the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act 2022. The Commission also directs deregulated operators to report frozen assets, attempted transactions, and suspicious activities to the Nigeria Sanctions Committee and the Nigerian Financial Intelligence Unit. Looking at numbers at intraday now, we see Nigeria sustains the negative sentiment from yesterday to early trade and now to intraday, and has gone down to 242,606.90, dropped 0.33%. Johannesburg is also red at this time. Egypt is closed on Fridays, but closed positive yesterday, 0.38%. NSC also closed positive yesterday, Thursday. At the Middle East, we see the markets trading. 2 of them trade on Fridays, Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and that's mixed. Dubai, we see, is negative 0.38, and Abu Dhabi 0.02% in the green. Tadawul and Qatar closed on Fridays. They do not trade, but they closed negative yesterday. In the United States, it's a choppy trade after record-setting sessions, with 2 of the 3 major there we see positive, while the Dow is negative. Let's just head straight to Berlin and find out what the market color is with Chip. Hey Chip, good afternoon. What's the color today? Bright and early again?
The color today is green.
Congratulations.
We've made it to green on Friday.
Yeah, that's odd.
but they've been mostly muted today. And actually, the Pan-European Stock 600 is actually flat, in the green, but flat. And Germany's DAX is trading much higher, though. It is up 0.8%. So strong corporate earnings reports and easing inflation concerns are ensuring that the generally positive mood on the financial markets this week remains. And of course, that is despite the lack of a resolution to the US-Iran war to guarantee the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the latest macroeconomic data from EU statistics agency Eurostat may also be helping with market sentiment. Today, it did confirm that the Eurozone's GDP rose 0.4% during the second quarter, and Spain was one of the biggest drivers of that economic growth in the euro area. The Spanish economy grew 0.7%, and that was at a much quicker pace than the 0.2% for Germany, France, and Italy.
And talking about outside the market now, the extreme weather there, we hear it's still a huge concern. Now, farmers seems to be raising voices concerning what they may lose or what the economy may lose amidst the extreme heat.
Indeed, the drought is going to be a major concern for the rest of the year for European economies, of course, and agriculture is, of course, one of the most affected industries by the drought, and we are going through a third heat wave right now. Today, temperatures are forecast to reach as high as 39 degrees Celsius in most parts of Western and Southern Germany. And here in Germany, people are just not used to that kind of weather. The head of the German Farmers Association has warned that Southern Germany could actually see the total loss of the entire harvest for some crops, especially wheat and rapeseed. Now, the southern federal state of Baden-Württemberg has already declared a state of emergency for its agricultural sector. The ongoing drought and heat waves, of course, aren't only hurting crops, they're also threatening the supply of animal feed. There are now some regions in some federal states here in Germany that have hardly any grass for the animals to graze on. So this is also a challenge for livestock farmers who also need to come up with feed reserves for the winter.
Yeah, well, it's a huge problem right there. But I mean, is there anything, intervention that we can expect in the coming weeks? Any talks around that?
Well, as far as we know right now, interventions aren't planned because they also need to figure out what the extent of the damage and the losses is. And of course, we do know, Ini, that the drought isn't the only challenge that farmers are facing. They are also feeling the effects of the US-Iran war. So there are also the effects of that. Synthetic fertilizer, for instance, is now much more expensive because, of course, raw materials like ammonia and urea, which come from the Gulf region, are shipped through the Strait of Hormuz. So German farmers right now are holding off buying synthetic fertilizer. And at this point in the summer, they would have purchased what they need for the growing season in autumn. Now, without enough fertilizer, harvests next year could also be smaller. So it is quite tricky in terms of figuring out what the losses are for the agriculture industry here. But we will be getting a sense of the extent of the losses and damages when the German Farmers Association releases its figures with its 2026 harvest projections next week. So obviously we'll update you on that as soon as we know, Ini.
Yeah, I will certainly appreciate that, Chief. Thank you so much, and do have a great weekend.
You too, Ini.
All right, just before we head to the crypto space, let's take a short break and we'll be back. Welcome back, Still Business Incorporated right here. We head straight to the crypto space and see what the color of the market is at this time, and it's red right here also. So we see Bitcoin has lost 1.26% in 24 hours, 62,762.03. Ethereum is still holding on to that resistance point of 1,800. Finds it difficult to leave that behind. XRP, Solana, TRX, most of them are in the red at this time. See the stories making the rounds in the crypto space. And once again, there's a stall in that decision of the U.S. securities. They canceled the meeting to vote on crypto rules. You know, we've been following this story for about a month now. Now, there was an abrupt cancellation of the meeting that was scheduled to hold today on whether the agency should propose the new crypto-related rules. And then they said the reason due to an unforeseen scheduling issue. That's what has been given. The agency was set to vote on proposing highly anticipated exemptions that would allow crypto startups to raise capital without having to comply with traditional securities offering rules. So it's another delay there from the US. And then a cryptocurrency scam involving fake job offers and compromised software systems results in losses of about $11.8 million. That's it. In Singapore, that happened in Singapore. That's about 15.1 of Singapore dollars, but the US dollars is 11.8. According to an advisory by the Singapore Police Force and the Cybersecurity Agency, the victim is approached on LinkedIn and by a fake recruiter from a cryptocurrency-related company and is directed to complete a technical assessment on a company-issued device. And so 15 million Singapore dollar has been lost. In Australia, a top financial crimes agency has suspended digital asset ATM operator CryptoLink, forcing it to shut down 96 machines across the country amid ongoing concerns about the firm's compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing obligations. That's in Australia. And so you have it there. Australia orders CryptoLink's 96 crypto ATMs to shut down. Well, the crypto is getting squeezed, or the crypto environment is getting squeezed, but it's all for good, I guess, keeping that environment trustworthy for investors. And that's it. On From Crypto and Business Incorporated today. Thank you so much for being a part of our 5-day journey, which started on Monday. Always glad to have you on that side, watching and following us. Remember, you can watch us even further when you go to our YouTube channel, and then you can watch Business Morning and Business Incorporated. Well, I'll be back for the stock market reports. I wonder if that color would change. Doesn't look like it, so let's have a red market. Let's deal with it.